There were a few of us after lockdown who were totally hungry to get our hands in the soil. We started working in the farm and weeding, doing just any kind of task in the farm. It felt like heaven.
I was more of a praiser side of the story, praising the nature and loving the nature, but being within the process of growth and planting, and this is, I think it's very essential, especially when we are in isolation. Then you come in close contact with something you take granted every day. You just walk by, bike by, say, okay, trees. When you get in there, it's a life going on. So you feel much less isolated, much less alone. I mean, these are beings too. So social isolation doesn't mean anything once you are here. You're not alone.
The soil itself, it's so alive. A handful of soil contains millions and billions of little organisms that are alive. And it's been shown many times that these organisms from the soil are really important for life. Like if you have your hands in the soil, your immune system is functioning much better. And they also help mood. There's been a lot of studies now about depression. And if you work in the soil, it's one of the strongest ways to relieve depression.
You know what I've realized more than anything? I've realized about myself how impatient I am. You know, it's just when you come in contact with nature and farming and growing, then you realize how your speed is too fast, and that's your mind. Your mind wants the tomato tomorrow because you planted it today, but the land it says to wait. Wait a few months for one single tomato. You have to wait for a few months. So yeah, you learn. Oh, this is all about waiting. Aside from working, it's about waiting. And because the waiting is so immense, so deep, you realize how fast you are and how restless you are in your mind. So you see your restless mind in farming.
And as we were doing this, there was one girl, about 9 or 10, who came and asked if she could start helping. And she did. We had her carrying compost and doing this and that. And pretty soon she brought a friend and another friend. And it just kept growing like that, that the kids wanted to come and garden. This was their want. Nobody said, you should go garden. They found us and they wanted to start.
We do all kinds of things. So we have our own garden and we do all kinds of planting.
First, we start with weeding. Then we get our own patch, and then we plant or transplant our plants, and then we make these neem spray, and then we spray it on the leaves because these pests start eating it, and then we also water them.
We have planted tomatoes, we have planted brinjals, onions, carrots, marigolds. There's basil and some ink plant, which you get ink from. Chilies,
chili pepper and tomato and onion.
There are too many. I can't remember all of them.
By being in nature and working with nature, the lessons of nature will be absorbed kind of into the cells, not anything anyone tells them. Like, let's take cooperation. Not by telling kids they should cooperate, but by giving them activities where they need to cooperate, and by showing them ways that parts of nature cooperate with each other, and letting them absorb it.
My son is apparently a seed collector now at home. Whenever we eat something, he's after us and saying, "Give me the kids' seeds." So he can't even waste seeds anymore at home, and I think that's very important. So there's something is, germinating in them slowly, that way.
Like last year we actually went to the school. It was actually way more fun. But now we have to sit in front of the computer, and also sometimes it gets too weird.
It's way more fun gardening because computer kills me.
Because they're so wiser than us, kids, children. So what we get here on the farm, they get it much more if they come. So yeah, this is the process of life. So the sooner they get to know the land and where the food comes and the whole life cycle, the more important. This is the school. This is the school of life.
I love these kids that are coming up, and they're not easy kids for us older people to deal with. They're extremely strong-willed. They have their ideas, and they're not willing to compromise them. It doesn't work to just tell them what to do. They resist. It just doesn't work. And so parents get extremely frustrated because when they were little, their parents told them to do something and they would do it. Their children aren't behaving that way. Well, it's because these kids are different, because they're coming in at a time that a huge amount of will and inner determination is needed. So advice number one, really respect that in the kids. And as much as you can, talk with them rather than telling them what to do. Problem solve together. How is this going to happen? How is this going to get done? And the other thing these kids are hungry for is connection. We live in a very disconnected world right now. People are on their phones a lot. You see people sitting around together in the same room, all looking at their phones. This is not connection. We need to give them this attention and this real, true depth of connection. That's another thing. And keep aware of their strengths. Always focus on what the strengths you see in the child and the things that they do that you're enjoying. I call it watering what you want to grow. So if the kid has behaviors you're really not enjoying, somewhere in the day there will be something that they do that you do enjoy, and that's what you need to water. Not the things you give water by your attention and your comments. And too often it's like, don't do this, don't do that, stop doing, you always do this, you always do that. So the kids are developing a picture of themselves inside that they're bad, that they always do this or that. You want them to have a picture that they're thriving, they're flourishing, they're beautiful, creative people. So you comment on the things that you are enjoying, and it changes behaviors. We see it all the time. Behaviors really change.
I'm sure we come out of this lockdown a different human race, with different interests, with different insight, with different priorities, I hope. It's wishful thinking, but I think it will happen. And children will be different too, and that's good.
We shouldn't hurt nature. We should actually grow it even more. It helps a lot. It's a source for animals and all kinds of things. Once we even saw a monkey.